an overreaction list. I got 5 things, 5 storylines that could, affect this year's playoffs, even including teams who aren't playing this week. This is something to me that would actually make a lot of sense. Could make sense, something I could see happening, something that might be a little bit OC. So I'm gonna go through the 5, and then we're gonna y'all give me y'all take and see if I'm tripping or not, man. So I'm gonna go with my first overreaction, and that is that the Super Bowl will feature none of the number 1 seeds. There will be no Kansas City Chiefs, no Detroit Lions. Is this an overreaction or not? We're gonna go Mikey, Dante, Banging, and Joe.
Can you repeat that? Sorry, I just got yelled at by my boss after working hours.
Well, my first reaction: the Super Bowl will feature none of the number 1 seeds. The Chiefs and the
The
Lions won't be in it.
Chiefs and the Lions. I'm rolling with that. I'm rolling with that because I think there's some depth. I mean, you still have another 14 win team in the Vikings. You still got the Bills who have a record, that's pretty much up there. You have a team like the Ravens. So I'm rolling. The Super Bowl won't feature any of the number 1 teams.
Go ahead, Dante.
I think it's very likely. I think the way the Chiefs have won games this year. I know they were starting to pick up steam as the season ended, but no, the way they've been playing, I think it's very easy that both teams can end up losing. Detroit, they put on a hell of a show that last week, but they can't be beaten. And it's going to be tough, especially with them having home field advantage. But it wouldn't shock me.
Wouldn't shock me at all. Wouldn't shock me at all. I mean, Kansas City would, but nah, Detroit, it wouldn't shock me at all. Damn, that everybody hurt. So nah. And then when you game plan in the playoffs, you like really land. Nah, it wouldn't shock me at all.
Go ahead, Joe.
So it would shock me if the Lions weren't there. It would not shock me if the Chiefs weren't there, simply because the way the Chiefs have won games this year is just not convincing. A lot of bad breaks for teams in clutch moments have resulted in not all of their wins, obviously, because they won like 15 games or something crazy. But for a good chunk, maybe half of those games, it was a lot of bad breaks that just like shit just happens more so than the Chiefs were the reason this happened. Whereas with the Lions, when I look at their entire season in perspective, the vast majority of those dubs were because they made it happen, because they were just so diverse, so fluid and efficient on offense that they got it done. And defensively, yes, they suffered a lot of setbacks. But the main fact that Glenn is still able to get high level defensive play out of them is inspiring. And then I look at the teams that he's going to play in the playoffs, at least in the NFC side of things. And I'm not seeing too many powerhouses that can just like dominate him, because the powerhouses are mostly for me in the AFC. And then the one in the NFC is them. And so when I think about this, and of course the other NFC North teams, which they know well, and did they sweep the NFC North or did they lose one game?
The Lions?
Yeah.
No, they swept. They beat the Vikings 31-29 back in October, and then they won last week 30-20.
So I'm looking at that, and I see to myself a team that is like the biggest competition. I guess the Eagles, of course.
But with me telling you that, say the Vikings do beat the Rams, it's hard to beat a team three times in one season, especially a divisional foe.
Right. What makes this different, however, is Sam Darnold is the QB.
Same Darnold as Bomani Jones calls him.
I really wonder if what we saw Sunday was okay, cool. He looked like shit. He was very high on a lot of his throws. He was rushing. He looked like the moment was too big for him. I wonder if it was almost a good thing for the Vikings to get that out the way in the regular season going into the playoffs.
Oh, it's undeniably a good thing for him. Undeniably. You want to get that traditional Sam Darnold performance out the way, and hopefully he can then shake that off. And that's the hardest thing is when you're a spectator is that you don't know is this because the Lions defense planned for him so well,
Or is it a mental thing?
or is it a mental thing, or is it just the end of the season they're starting to pull back because you have to focus so much on the playoffs, even though the number one seed was on the line? I don't know. I would probably lean toward he just had brain farts in the game because it just looked like even the stuff that was there, he wasn't making it accurately. So yeah, beating a team 3 times is hard, but again, this is still Sam Darnold. And now that being said, if he does get past this, then this is a good indication that he may be taking a different step in his career, period, and not just a flash in the pan.
That leads me to my next overreaction. If the Detroit Lions lose early in this, I mean, like before they even make the Super Bowl, their window is closed. Might have Ben Johnson's going to be leaving. Aaron Glenn might be leaving. How can Dan Campbell bounce back from that, especially if Ben Johnson or Aaron Glenn go to the Bears, go to the NFC North, and now they're taking some of their power away? Is that an overreaction? Say if they don't get it done this year, it's the NFL, windows close quickly. You just mentioned Minnesota. If Sam Darnold's really that guy, could this be a window that's closed very, very quick?
I won't say that the window will be closed very quick just off of the strength that the talent is undeniable. When you have all pro linemen, when you have somebody like Jahmyr Gibbs, you still have David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jared Goff is playing his best. I think this is just going to be the year where we lean on, okay, what really is Dan Campbell's culture, and not only how he coaches players and what he did in the building, but in being able to build a staff and to have a staff grow underneath, guys like Ben Johnson. Antoine Randall is somebody that we have mentioned, before. Is he ready to go ahead and take a prominent role as a main guy, as a play caller? So I won't say that their window will close because the talent is undeniable. But it'll definitely be tough. And I think there's also the outside possibility. I know it's very hard to imagine, but there is the outside possibility that maybe one of the two guys don't go. Ben Johnson could just be a weird dude and just be like, look, I interviewed again and I'm not feeling it. The Lions go back to him, make him the highest paid offensive coordinator, and he's set there. So I wouldn't say it's 100% a guarantee that, that they lose both. But I do think that it's gonna be a little bit tough for them, and this is gonna be where we see what type of a culture and team builder Dan Campbell is.
I think there's a way higher chance of Aaron Glenn coming back. Like I told Bane weeks ago, I hear what he says. I hear what other people said, but I see no way that Ben Johnson comes back. I think he's gonna be a head coach somewhere. Dante, is this overreaction?
Yeah, very much so. I think that team is too talented to say that their window is closed. I understand how the NFL works, but in that same breath, you only got to get it right one time. Like, we've seen teams that have not lived up to the expectations of that season, but they have eventually gotten to the Super Bowl and won, in between the dynasties that we've seen. So I think it's very possible. So it's very possible that even if they lose this year early, that you run it back. You may have to replace Ben Johnson, but you still have the personnel there. And to Mikey's point, I think that's true. Like I said, it's some people out there, kind of like how the defensive coordinator for the Broncos, I know he got a raw deal in Arizona, but some people are just better as coordinators.
Oh, Vance Joseph had no choice with it. He got fired.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He got a raw deal. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, Raheem Morris got a second chance. Todd Bowles got a second chance.
Yeah, so
now I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, well, Ben Johnson never been a coach before. That's why. Usually people who've been coached before and they're like, oh, it just didn't work. I'm gonna stick here in this coordinator box.
Well, a lot of the rumors are with Dante's boy with Cliff is that he's kind of on the Ben Johnson shit. He might not want to dip after this year. That he might be cool as a coordinator and maybe see what comes available in the future.
Yeah, and that just he was also a head coach though. That's why the reason I see Ben not coming back is he's never been a head coach before. Like I think he's gonna at least want to give it a crack, whether it's. And I'm not saying it's gonna be just with the Bears or anybody. I would be absolutely floored if he's like, you know what, I'm gonna stay here in Detroit. But Bang, is that an overreaction to you?
I don't think it's an overreaction because even though they have the talent, if Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn does leave, who replaces them on that staff? I
Exactly.
think like that's a team of culture. Like that's a team of next man up. That's a team of culture. So if you have somebody that does not align with what Dan Campbell is Dan Campbell's coaching enough to bridge that gap? I am not for sure. I want to see Dan Campbell without Aaron Glenn, and Ben Johnson, and we'll see that happen. So since I've not really seen that, um, yeah, I'm not. Nah, I'm not saying that that's. I'm saying that is truly possible. That could happen. That they could fall off.
Joe, is this overreaction?
Yeah, it's a huge overreaction. I mean, look at the talent. This is still a solidly young team. So, of course, the struggle will be to find a offensive and defensive coordinator because I think Ben Johnson is 99.9% gone. I don't see the virtue in staying one more year outside of you want to get the friendlier deal. But I think it's now it's ripe. You've seen several good seasons with that offense. It's time for him to go. Aaron Glenn might take longer. And so him coming back would probably be much more of a possibility. I think it's 50-50. But no, man, the talent is there. I mean, you have talent at every single position, a good offensive line. You have very good wide receivers. You have good running backs. You have a good tight end. You got a defense that could plug a few more holes, but it's still solid and still typically young. So unless someone comes in and just fucks it all up, I can't see it just going to shit. So no, I still think they're in the early days of their window. I mean, I think their window just started last year. So I still think we're in the early years of their window. Will they be as dominant without Ben Johnson? I have no clue. But Orla's right too. Things can cause it to close very quickly. I don't think we're in that just yet, though.
My next one is something that Mikey and not Mikey, but Dante and Bang kind of brought up before I brought it up. If the Steelers lose on Saturday, and we're already starting to hear some national heads even float this in the air. If the Steelers lose on Saturday, Mike Tomlin will be coaching somewhere else next year. Now, I'm not saying he's going to get fired. I think one of the two options could be true. We're going to let you find a team you want to coach with, and we're going to facilitate a trade or a mutual parting of the ways. Thank you for your 17 years here. Oh, I'm almost 20. I'm almost about 17, 18 years here. Go on and find whatever team you want to be with. I'm going to say this. I don't think this is an overreaction. I think if they lose on Saturday, would not shock me whatsoever. Now, granted, he is one of him and John Harbaugh, the two longest tenured coaches in the NFL. Steelers don't really get rid of coaches like that. But maybe it's just something he wants to see where else something go. Because they still haven't found an answer to the quarterback position. Russ had a good first half, but now he's back being what he was. And they're not going to go back to Justin. Justin's probably not even going to be on this roster next year. It would not shock me. Mikey, do you think this is an overreaction?
Somebody to coach that's available right now that's better than Mike Tomlin for the Steelers.
Not
I
one.
wait. I wait. No, it's not a possibility. I don't know what it is with the national media and trying to create these narratives and trying to force him on. I saw on Get Up they were talking about that this is the perfect man for the Bears. Now, while I agree, where does that make sense for the Steelers to move on, and where does that make sense? Who is going to be the replacement for him? There is nobody in line over there on that staff that will replace him. There's nobody better than Mike Tomlin. If you were to drop Mike Tomlin in right now with Vrabel and Ben Johnson still being available, Mike Tomlin is still the number one candidate. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's not how the Pittsburgh Steelers move. You have to still be real. They are very limited at quarterback. They've tried to piecemeal it with different moves, but they just haven't been able. They're too good. It's almost of Mike Tomlin's fault and the coach he has. They continue to win and post above 500 seasons, but they're almost too good to even be in contention to draft a quarterback high. So, they're working with what they have. The Steelers are not going to give up on Mike Tomlin if they lose.
Now, Bang and Dante, I know y'all the ones who y'all had him on your list, so obviously you feel this is not an overreaction. So I'm gonna go to Joe unless you all had something to add to why you had him on your list. But I think y'all both described it. So, Joe, do you think this is an overreaction?
No, I mean, I get the organizational factor of it and the tradition behind it, but he ain't really done shit. Like he is, I think what he has the record for most seasons starting at 500 in your beginning of your coach career or something like that. But he ain't done shit with it. Early losses, some 9-win, 8 wins, not 9-win seasons, 10-win seasons, but they have not been a legitimate threat in years. And I think I realized how much that some fans are tired of it when on Twitter I mentioned that, man, he just always seems to get it done regardless. And he was like, yeah, and then does nothing else with it. A lot of fans are tired of it. And the rumblings will be another year we don't get shit done. The only really cop out is that he has not found his quarterback since Bathroom Ben, which is understandable. But
I
still,
love that name.
you've had more than enough chance and time to do better than you do. I'm not seeing the AFC Championship run, even getting back to the Super Bowl to make you believe he can stay. So no, I think his seat is absolutely hot, and he would be somewhere else if they don't win.
All right, got two more, and then we're gonna give our picks for the games, man. My next one is we've got two rookie quarterbacks in the playoffs. We got Jaden Daniels heading to Tampa Bay, and we've got Bo Nix, or as Dante and Courtney call him, Bomani Nix, heading to Buffalo to take on Josh Allen and the Bills. Overreaction or not, we're gonna get two rookie quarterbacks winning their first playoff games in their first try. Mike, you already said on Monday that you wouldn't be shocked if the Bills on upset alert. Do you think both of these rookie QBs can win their debut?
Yeah, I've kind of come down on that one with the Broncos. Although I think their defense will be able to keep it, close. I think Josh Allen will come through, but I've shifted. The Commanders are 100% going to win against the Bucks. I do think Jaden Daniels has what it takes. If you look at the injury report, the Buccaneers are missing over like 90% of their secondary. Jordan Whitehead got into a car accident last week for kind of some reckless driving, and it actually cost him his season. So they're without a safety. And Antoine Winfield Jr.'s status is up in the air. He might not play. I just think that this Commanders team is different than what the Bucs saw week one. And I'm riding with at least one of them. I don't think both of them, but I think one of them will for sure.
Dante, you think both of these rooks can bring it home?
No, I think one will. I think one will, and I think it's the one we don't expect, which is Bomani. I think Bomani might actually go out there and get it done. I think he has the defense to back him up, and it's really more so of him not making mistakes. And so far this season, he's shown you he doesn't really, put them in positions to lose. So, maybe it's just a little bit of leftover Josh Allen hate I got, but I think Bomani can get it done this weekend.
Bang, overreaction or not, two rookie quarterbacks getting dubs this weekend.
I don't think it's an overreaction because of that Broncos defense. Enough said.
Joe, overreaction or not, two rookie QB wins.
Oh, they're both going to lose. So yeah, that's a super overreaction. None of them are getting a win.
All right.
I do. Yeah. Sorry, I was going to.
No, I thought you. Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I was just saying I don't believe in them to get it done just yet. I think they face some kind of overwhelming odds. I think I can see the Buccaneers, and who did the Broncos play?
They play the Bills.
Yeah, they're not going to beat the Bills. Broncos definitely not going to beat the Bills. The Buccaneers, too many veteran players who have the desire to do more are going to beat this young Commanders team. Maybe next year, but this year, no, I can't see it.
All right, final overreaction. This is what we're gonna do. So, the Kansas City Chiefs, who are on the ball right now, if they win, if they three-peat, first three-peat in NFL history. A lot of teams have tried to do it. The 70s, Steel Curtain, Steelers tried and failed. The 80s, Niners tried and failed. The 90s, Cowboys tried and failed. The 90s, Broncos tried and failed. The Patriots tried twice and failed. If the Kansas City Chiefs three-peat, Patrick Mahomes officially has a case to be the greatest player of all time. Mikey, is this an overreaction?
No, it's not an overreaction. It would be impressive because from what we see offensively, it's not like they have the most skilled players. It's not like he's out there running around with a first team. Oh, well, I mean, let me take that back. Kelsey will be a Hall of Famer. But no, it would definitely be impressive. It's very hard in this age, especially when you look at it. The top two MVP, NFL MVP award winners who we think now the two in contention, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. That's somebody that he'll probably have to run through. So yeah, I think it would solidify Pat. He would be on a remarkable run, and I would actually be a little bit worried if I was Brady if he could go ahead and three-peat because he still has about another 10 to 11 years in him.
Dante, if he wins this, should Brady be shaking in his boots?
Yes, he should be. And I mean, I hate, I'm the first one to tell you we need to let people's careers play out. And, it's too early to crown people and things of that nature. But I mean, we're just judging off strictly the eye test, just what we've seen him do, seen him accomplish, the games we've seen him win, the spots he's been in where it's like, okay, they finally about to fucking lose. And they don't lose the game. So I think it's one of those things where the combination of that with the hardware that he's starting to collect, it's time to have that talk. So, I mean, he hasn't surpassed Brady yet because longevity is a part of greatness. And, to have somebody play for 20 years, that does matter. So, no, but if he wins, yeah, we're going to have that talk.
Bang, are we almost, it's time to have a discussion if they win?
As I've said on this show and got lambasted, by you particularly, like, yeah, I try to hold off on telling somebody that they're the GOAT when they still have a while to go in their career. But if they win 3 straight, yes, because it would be something that somebody has never done, or at least in the Super Bowl era, they've never done it, especially this season when this wasn't his best season. So yeah, again, I try to hold off on that. I like to let the niggas live and have their career. But yeah, at that point he could retire and you can have that conversation. So yeah.
Joe, I see you shaking your head.
Man, fuck no. Tom Brady has 7 titles. What are we talking about? It's not even remotely close yet. It's going to be an incredible feat. They could be argued as being the greatest dynasty of all time, all of that. That's great. But there's just too much you have to do. And Pat coming off 2 weak-ass seasons is not going to make him look any better in my eyes.
Crazy.
These seasons have not been great. Now, they've been good. Sure, absolutely. 4,000 yards last year, 27, 26 touchdowns, 13, 14 picks. This year, he's like 35, 26, 25 and 11 or 12. Yeah, those are solid. But those ain't the numbers of freaking GOATs just yet. That being said, will he enter my top 5? Probably. He's not my top 5 yet, but he'll probably enter my top 5. Already top 10 easily. But man, Tom Brady to me is like Wayne Gretzky. It's just hard to get to that area. It's not like with Jordan, where LeBron James is on his heels. And though I think Jordan is still undisputedly the GOAT, if someone said Bron was a GOAT, I'd say, I get you. I feel you. Whereas Bonds, I forgot about Barry Bonds. Bonds, Gretzky, and Brady, just no one close yet. You know what I mean? And so I would not put him above Brady just yet. But they would be considered amongst the best dynasties. And if someone said the best, I could understand completely.
So cool. Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice trade, go for trade, yeah we cold too. Getting paper on these player haters, old news, money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not